In today's business world, being an average CEO is no longer an option. That's why we're committed to equipping you with the resources and the tactics necessary to not just survive, but to thrive. You're listening to Not Your Average CEO Lifeline podcast, where we are more than just a voice in the crowd. Today on Not Your Average CEO Lifeline, Danielle and I are talking about a topic we have not discussed before. We're talking about the money you're leaving on the table and why most businesses are doing this and where you're missing out on opportunities. Perhaps you have this misconception that if they're interested, they'll call me back. And you're dropping the ball with these maybe cold or warm leads. So Danielle and I are here today to walk you through what is the best way to start the conversation again, open up these doors, and how you can begin to generate a little bit more traction with leads that may have just fallen through. So, Danielle, with that being said, what advice do you have for our audience?
So typically, what I've seen after watching companies leave revenue on the table or miss opportunities, it's not because they are having issues with their team or that they have a bad product or service. It can be quite the opposite. What I have seen is that they're leaving money on the table because they're missing a really key point, and that's typically the follow through. So, what I mean by that is what I see happening is that folks will leave stuff on the table. Um, when you're talking about doing deals, making sales, oftentimes you're not getting flat out no's. What can happen is the deal just dies. People stop talking. And that is where I see the businesses, for lack of a better term, get lazy. It's not that, your prospect or who you're talking to um, isn't interested or thinks that you have a poor product or service. If they did, they probably wouldn't have got to this conversation in the first place. It's just that they have a lot of other priorities, and if you're not in front of them, you're not existing. And so when you drop the ball on that follow up, that's where I see a lot of money and deals and ultimately revenue getting left behind. I think in the misconception, you'll say to yourself, if this person is interested, they'll let me know, they'll call me back, they'll come around, they'll get to me. But I don't think that's always true. Again, they have competing priorities. They are dealing with multiple other things, juggling other balls, lots of things in the air, and maybe another vendor, a competitor of yours, sort of gets to them first. Maybe they simply forget. But I think that that's really important to do that follow through and the follow up and not dropping the ball on that, because that's where I see a lot of folks leaving a lot of money behind.
I completely agree. And there are two different aspects here, right? One is you have a product where they're maybe leaving something in a cart, or
Mhm.
you have a service where you're talking to them, or your salesperson is talking to them and discovering if they're a fit for your service. That one more, my brain always goes to, did you leave too much ambiguity between what you're offering and what they need? Are you letting them just casually choose one of your services, or are you pitching them directly what you feel in your expertise would be best for their business? That's something that you and I have talked about a lot of times, is being assertive in as to what they need. So if you're not talking about, here's a product in your cart and you're selling tops and pants, but you're selling a service, pitching them exactly what you think they need and why, presenting it in a formal way, something that goes above and beyond the average. Well, they didn't schedule a call, they didn't show up, now what? Right? You need to do something a little bit more, right, than your competitors. How are you standing out? So I think that's an important point to distinguish too, is where and how are you leaving things on the table? Is it in
Yeah.
a cart, or is it in a call email that you didn't see through? So
Yeah. And I think an important part in that, Nicole, to your point, like if you're not, um, actively handling that, staying in touch, staying on top of those things, whether, someone rescheduled a call with you or left something in a cart, someone else is doing that. Likely another vendor, one of your competitors, they are doing that. And I think that's where, um, you're dropping the ball and leaving money potentially on the table.
It should be, in my opinion, I'm going to talk from a consumer standpoint. If I'm interested in something, right, I would say the majority of people, they're coming to you. Right? So I'm speaking to you as the business owner. People have come to you. If I'm annoyed as a consumer, I'll just unsubscribe to something, or I will say I'm not interested. So too many follow-ups is too many follow-ups, right? If you're spamming them, there's a fine line there. But that fear of I'm bothering the lead, I think is a really um, big mistake that you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to bother them, right? I don't, maybe they just don't need my service right now, but like they came to you. So it's a shift in that mindset of going after it. Do you have a better way of talking about that part? Like,
Yeah, I think so too. I think that, you're thinking of sort of the fear of looking, um, desperate, for example.
mhm, that's a
But
good word.
in my experience, we have closed, I do the sales for Virtual Assist USA for the most part, and we have closed deals, um, 9, 12 months later from someone that we spoke to 9 or 12 months before. And they haven't thought that I was desperate. They've thought that I was organized and on top of it, and that I didn't forget about them. And then I remembered them and remembered that, they needed help with a CRM campaign. And so, like, how did that turn out? Did you ever end up doing that? If you didn't, we can still help you with that. So there's a big difference there. And I think they feel attended to, and cared for. And I think that's a huge difference. So it's not that fear of looking desperate. They're going to think that you're organized and on top of it and say, I want to work with that business, that company. And I think that, a few other things kind of on that note, where businesses are dropping the ball with that. Um, that fear of looking desperate. If you're doing a lot of campaigns, but you're not adding the human touch, so lots of folks are using AI now. We talk about that a lot. And you can certainly develop a drip campaign and automation, with AI, but it can really land flat if there's not a human touch for it. And so making sure that you are using the tools that we have to your advantage, but you're still adding that human touch, and it's not landing flat and it has that human fingerprint on it, because we're all inundated now with that type of, language. I think we can all sort of pick it out, out of a hat. This is something that was definitely generated by Chat GPT based on the language and the formatting. And to be able to say, no, there's a human touch on it. I think that is something that's going to stand out. Um, I think also folks are leaving money on the table when they're not having a strong ending with something. So I have a personal rule that if I'm, ending a meeting with a prospect or even a current client, someone on our team, we're ending it with what the next step is going to be. So is that another call that, I'm sending the invite right when I'm on the call with them? Is it just a follow-up email? But every meeting has to end with a next step. Even if it's just to close the loop and send an email that's like, here's what we recapped, here's what we talked about. I think that's really important, and it just takes a few minutes, and people are definitely, um, losing that. And I think also, the last thing is the folks that, prospects that have not said no to you. Um, they're just a silent lead, a dead lead. They haven't said no, they haven't said yes. They're sort of sitting in this purgatory. There can be a long list of folks in that spot for you. And I think that a lot of opportunities really sit there, but, businesses tend to forget about them. But I think if you just look at folks you talked to in the past 6 or 12 months that haven't said no or yes, there's a chance that you have a lot of people on there, that you could, reach out to and connect with and then make a big difference.
Completely agree. And I'm going to speak to our audience because a lot of them likely are CEOs and maybe not as organized. So, an important aspect is to make sure you're tracking it all. and to make sure you're capturing everyone in a way, whether you're using a CRM or if it's a simple spreadsheet, some way of formalizing and organizing all of your leads and clients is going to be really, really beneficial to how then you retarget them. And something Danielle said earlier is that she makes notes of personal touches, right? So, hey, you mentioned that you were working on that CRM. How did that pan out? That is something that you are now making a connection with. You may have an opportunity that leads to them telling you a story that really bonds and creates, starts to build the foundations of a relationship. So, choose somewhere to have all of your leads is going to be important, especially when then you're talking about when the lead has now become a client and if you're leaving money on the table. So, something I see quite a bit is missed opportunities to whether cross sell or upsell. So, if you're working with your existing clients and it's in a service in which you have the ability to help them grow in some way, shape, or form, whatever it may be, whether it's bookkeeping, whether it's virtual assistant services, there it likely is an opportunity for you to cross sell or upsell, and that is money left on the table if you are not monitoring your current clients in whatever journey or pipeline that you have for them. So if you have courses and they're halfway through a course, are you following up with them to make sure that they continue that course, find value, and then upsell them to your next course? Or are you just, they purchased my course, they didn't complete it, I didn't notice, we said nothing, right? They ran out of their drip campaign. Did someone personally go back and ask them why they stopped the course? Not only is that good customer service, it's great feedback for your team, but it allows you to start moving this needle with your clients through your journey. So I don't necessarily think that just leaving money on the table is the leads that you are not utilizing, but I think it's the missed opportunities in collaborations, relationships, customer journey that people can be just forgetting about or the importance of it when you're head down and just saying, if something's wrong, they'll flag me, or if they're interested, they come back. So I think that's a really important note too, before Danielle and I kind of tell you a little bit about some things that you can start to do to repair and find some extra oomph to bring money back to your business and increase your revenue.
Yeah, and Nicole, just to your point, sort of about those upsells, I think it doesn't have to be a hard sell. That has never felt
Mhm,
good to me. It's just not my
mhm.
personality. But oftentimes we've made upsells or other revenue opportunities just by asking, like, what else are you working on? What else is on your agenda? I know we're talking about building a CRM for you right now, but what else are you working on this year? And they might also say, and a social media campaign. Perfect, we can do that too. So I think just coming from a place of being helpful, coming from a place of curiosity, um, and just simply using that line, what else are you working on? I think that can be a, a really big help. I've seen it in our own business. Um, but I just wanted to mention that as Nicole talked about, we were going to give some tips. Um, and Nicole had come up with doing this in 7 days. So these are things that you can do literally in a week. This does not take a month. It doesn't take several weeks. These are things that you can actually do um, this week. So the first one is to audit every quiet lead. So I talked about that a little bit. You might have a long list of people that didn't say no, they didn't say yes. It's just check in with me later. So if this week you just take a 6 month export of people that you spoke to and maybe you didn't get a response, um, the, the circle back later, this can be a treasure chest of old deals. People that submitted an inquiry to your website and they never did anything further, they were interested at one point, and it might just take that little nudge. Um, to get back front of mind. It's a different time of year now. People are in different places. There's a lot of missed opportunity that I think can be there. So I would definitely say the first one is to audit those quiet leads. Just pull that report and start, making calls.
If you're listening to this and you don't know where to find if you don't have a CRM, Something that Deanna and I talked about a couple of months ago was looking at your emails, looking at your LinkedIn. Where have you connected with people? You can simply export that and sort it. AI can certainly help you sort it in a quick way if you're not spreadsheet friendly like I am. So I think that's a really good place to start, is to just audit, like Danielle said, and then prioritize. So sort things by readiness and revenue potential. What are going to be your biggest draws? What's going to be your biggest opportunity, and where to focus your energy first? I wouldn't say to get discouraged, but that would be my first suggestion, is to start big, because you don't know what could possibly lead to something larger for your ROI for this first initiative within the first 7 days. So prioritize. Um, what are the hottest opportunities that you have on your plate?
Yes. And then I would create a re-engagement plan. And I'm sure when I say like create this plan, that sounds very complicated and like it could take a long time, but we said this could take you a week. So I would do a 3 by 3. So I would take 3 days and I would reach out to them in 3 ways. So the ways that I would do it personally would be email, call, and LinkedIn, because a lot of our prospects and potential clients are on LinkedIn. That's just for our business. Yours might look a little different, but thinking of it as like 3 by 3, 3 ways and 3 days. So if Nicole was a lead of mine, I would send her an email, I would give her a call, I would notice her LinkedIn, and I would do something personal. So I would say, Nicole, congratulations. I saw you posted this article and it's trending, and I loved it. Just something simple. You don't have to dig into their whole life, but just be personal and specific and relevant to their situation. And just keep in mind, 3 by 3. So 3 ways, 3 days. It can make it really simple in your eyes, and just go down that list.
The I'm going to share my next how to do it in 7 days is with that personal touch, some type of resource or some immediate value or quick tip that is, the keyword is tailored to them, right? Danielle said personalize it to them, to make you stand out, to make them feel valued, that you are recognizing them for and what you can do, why. So make sure there's a purpose there in offering this value to them. That's going to be really key in fostering that organic connection and not making it feel AI, right? We all know that. So the test here is to do it and make sure it comes from you and not something that they're going to quickly overlook with a lengthy message or a bunch of your links and your calendar link and all of the things there. So make sure it is customized to them.
Yeah. And I would say have a goal for yourself at the end of this week. It doesn't have to be, um, that you've closed so many deals, although I think organically you will if you're just following these things. But make your goal to be no loose ends. So at the end of the week, again, you're going back to that 6 months of contacts. So like Nicole said, it could be in your email, it could be in your LinkedIn. Maybe you already have a CRM. That would be great. But you're just going there. Your goal at the end of the week is you don't have any loose ends. You've reached out to every single person. You have a clear step. As I was saying, I don't like to end conversations without a next action or a next step. So instead of the ending it with like, let me know, it's going to be, you're ending it with the next follow up. I'll follow up with you in 2 weeks, or have some kind of next action before you hang up. I'll send you a proposal. I'll send you those case studies that some other clients in your industry did, but always set a clear step and have a goal that you're not ending week with any loose ends whatsoever.
We talk a lot in most of our podcasts about manifestation as well. Even just chattering about your leads, chattering about your clients, bringing it front of mind, I guarantee you is going to drum up something, whether it's a collaboration opportunity, whether it's an old lead coming your way. The effort that you put into it, I guarantee you that you're going to get back. It's also about shifting your mindset, having this mindset that you're putting out there of, I'm not nagging them. Engagement is part of customer service. There's no sales pressure, right? There's no door to door. We're not doing door to door sales here where, um, you're being very salesy. This is engagement. This is expressing interest in helping and what you can offer. And they're most likely coming to you. So you're not forcing anyone's hand into your service. You're reaching out about helping and making decisions and part of solving a problem that they have and being part of their solution. So I think that's a really big piece too of, just our topic today is shifting that mindset into where it needs to be.
Yeah, I would say to Nicole's point about, you're being of service. I think you're also showcasing them what it will be like when they work with you.
Mhm.
You're showing them, I'm not going to drop the ball. I'm not going to forget about you. I'm going to stay on these things. I'm organized. Um, I have a plan, a process, a strategy. It's not going to get lost to the wayside. If you are, um, using it as a shift, like I'm being of service to you by following up, staying consistent, being, front of mind with you, because this was something that you said at one point that you were interested in or curious about. The same thing is like, and this is what the experience will be if you work with me. Again, I'm organized, I'm on top of it, my company is on top of it. Nothing is going to get dropped. So maybe shifting in your ways to the mindset of how that will feel for you, and what that will be like. Um, I think I'm just showing them what the experience is also going to be like working with me, I think is really important too. And then finally, Nicole and I wanted to end today with sort of a challenge for you.
Mhm.
We talked about, being able to do this in 7 days. So if you can do this as sort of homework, um, in the next week, do some of those things that we talk about. So do like the 3x3 re-engagement plan, 3 days, 3 ways that you're doing it. You're setting a next step in every conversation. No sort of ambiguity there. You have a plan at the end of each conversation. As Nicole mentioned, you're offering them immediate value. It's a resource, it's a tip, it's something that's tailored to them. You're prioritizing your opportunities. And then finally, you're just auditing all of these open loops. So every inquiry that didn't continue, every potential client, proposal, anything that's in limbo, you're auditing all of those. Um, is the challenge and the homework for this week. We would love to hear how that worked for you too. We'd love to get lots of emails that says you closed a bunch of deals and you generated more revenue. So you can always reach out to us at hello@Virtual Assist USA. We would love to hear too how it worked out for you. We love these kind of success stories.
Thanks, Danielle. Yes, you can always reach out to us. We look forward to hearing your feedback if this worked for you. If you are interested, Danielle and I also offer a customized delegation plan. You'll find the link in the show notes. So if all of these things are a little bit too much on your plate and you're looking to know how to delegate it to another person, uh, please look for the link in our show notes, and we would be delighted to create that custom delegation plan for you. You've been listening to Not Your Average CEO Lifeline with your hosts Danielle Cuomo, CEO, and Nicole Glitchio Els, COO. This podcast has been sponsored by Virtual Assist USA. If you'd like to know more about the hosts or exploring virtual assistant services, visit virtualassistusa.com for more information.